Hey there, Margarita here. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining us on the mat today. So today's journey is all about finding our truth on the mat, sitting in who we actually are authentically, not trying to be something that we're not trying to do something that maybe our body doesn't want to do. So go ahead, lie out your mat. Today we are going to use some bricks, and then we're also going to use a yoga strap. You can use books if you don't have bricks at home, or you could just use like a belt if you wanted to, or a towel, something really that you can just bring your arms out and hold between. So go ahead, tell your family this is you time, and I'll see you on the mat. Okay, well, welcome to yoga, guys. Good morning. How's everyone feeling? Fine, good. Awesome. Any requests before we get started? Back. Cool. Back. Legs, back. Hips. Yeah. Pedal power. Yeah. Cool. Well, let's get started. Just find a comfortable seat. Perhaps close your eyes if that's an option for you, and let's just begin to arrive. Just kind of noticing how you feel in this time and space. Noticing any areas that feel good or any areas that feel bad. Maybe notice your mind if you settle right in, or maybe it's wandering around. And see if you can just notice everything and all things that are happening in your body in a kind, authentic way, not denying yourself of anything today. And then begin just to steer that focus just to your breath. Noticing how your breath is showing up today. Maybe it's smooth, or maybe it's chattery. Maybe it's fast, or maybe it's slow. And then from this space, let's see if we can deepen the breath. Maybe finding length with the inhales for a little more energy today, or maybe finding length with the exhales for a more calming practice. And then from this space of full awareness, tapped in, perhaps setting an intention or intentionally not setting an intention. The focus I'm going to set for today's class is just one of truthfulness. showing up as we are, who we are, as messy, as perfect as we are. Taking off the mask and leaving it at the door and just showing up wherever we are on the mat today, wherever we are in life today. And then from here, let's just take the hands behind you. You can grab the strap if you want, or you can interlace the fingertips, or you can try both and see. I'm just going to reach back, sit up nice and tall. And taking a moment and just notice how this feels. And then releasing this, let's bring it to the front. Kind of do the same thing. If you don't have a strap, you can interlace the fingertips and just press out. So deciding which way works better. Sometimes I like to try both and see what feels better for me. And then see if you can just come back to that breath. Just noticing how you're breathing, noticing the inhales and the exhales. And then from here, inhale, bring the arms up. And then on the exhale, bring the hands down. And see if you can just mimic your breath. So let's say your inhale's short. Maybe I'm having a hard time inhaling today, so maybe I only come up halfway. Or maybe the exhale's short, so maybe I only come halfway down. And perhaps once you sync with the breath, wherever that happens, maybe dive into the physical. What's happening in the arms, the shoulders, the back, the chest, the heart center. Is there any areas that get stuck? Or maybe this range of motion feels just really good and everything flows. And then perhaps going beyond just the arms, maybe noticing the low back as the arms lift up. If there's a tightness, let's say, in the left shoulder, the left back area, you might also feel this in your leg. So your leg might also want to kind of come up a little bit and see if you can just notice all the little things that just this movement does to the body. With the next inhale, let's just keep the arms up, finding length in the back, and think about pressing the knees down. More like an energetic press, not like a forceful press. And then from here, let's take both arms over to the left. And you're going to probably notice that right hip sits bone might start to lift. And see if you can find that sweet spot in the middle where you can feel that hip starting to open, but without falling over to the left. And then when you need to, float the left arm down for a little more support. And let's take this right hand and just bring it behind you. Kind of Put it into the hip crease behind you, and then press that right shoulder up a little more, almost like you're really sending your center of your heart skyward. And then from here, holding the shape of the torso, just bring the head down like you're looking kind of at your left knee or maybe closer to your left hand. And then let's come on up. Bring both arms up once again, interlace the fingertips, press the hands up. Kind of press into the back space a little bit. And let's take both hands over to the right. And then that left side might start to kind of pop up. See if you can just press it down. And then when you're ready, perhaps floating that right hand down, reaching left arm over a little more. And now that you're grounded with that right hand, what can you do here? Can you press that left sit bone into the earth a little more? And then from here, let's take that left arm, bring it behind you. Maybe weasel it into the right hip crease, and then draw that left shoulder back. And then perhaps switching the gaze, bringing it down towards the right knee, or maybe towards that right hand. And then pressing off, let's come all the way up. Let's just move that strap out of the way. It's only in my way. And then let's roll on forward to just hands and knees. If your knees are finicky, feel free to put a blanket right under your knees. Bringing the hands just underneath the shoulders. And from here, let's just go into cat, tucking the tailbone under, pressing the hands into the earth, and just allow the head to dangle. And then from here, holding this shape like a rainbow, just shift your weight forward slightly and notice what happens. And let's just move a little bit here, going back and forth, pressing the hips backwards, holding the shape, and then coming forwards, holding the shape. And then I invite you to explore here other directions. Kind of with this exploration, just see what the body wants to tell you. And then finding some stillness, let's snuggle into just child's pose. Sending the glutes back, melting into the mat, however you want to. Just lengthening from here that back, allowing it to kind of round, allowing the glutes and the hamstrings to kind of pull down that lower back a little bit. And then from here, let's inhale, round through cat, curl the toes under, and let's press up and back just to down dog. First Adho Mukha Savasana of the day. So just create a shape that you feel like might be down dog. Forgetting what down dog is supposed to look like and just kind of diving into what you want it to look like, what you need it to look like right now. And then just like we did before, adding a little bit of movement here. Maybe pedaling out the knees, maybe rocking the hips back and forth. And then from here, let's bend the knees, come back down to child's pose. Sinking it back. And then with the next inhale, let's round through cat once again. Make our way to down dog. And find some stillness in your dog this time. The first time we discovered what it feels like just to be in down dog. Now we'll just add on to that. So from here, let's send that right leg skyward. Really pressing through the heel. And try to square the hips. Imagine finding a length from the tips of your fingertips all the way to the top of that left toe. And then from here, add a bend to the right knee and begin to stack the hips. And imagine somebody pulling that right knee up skyward. Then inhale, straighten the legs, straighten the hips. Exhale, we're going to bring it right back down. Let's just come into a kneeling position for a moment. Sitting back on your feet just a little bit. We're not going to be here very long. Stretching the soles of the feet. And then let's come out of it. First, just coming back to tabletop. And curl the toes, press the hips up and back to down dog. Finding a stillness in your down dog. And then this time, let's lift the left leg skyward. Trying to find length, once again, from the tips of the fingertips to the tips of the toes. And then we'll add a bend to the left knee. Stack the hips. Notice as this action happens, which way your body wants to be pulled. Let's inhale, straighten the legs, square the hips. Exhale, bring it all the way back down. Let's bend the knees, come back down. First to just tabletop. And let's come down to our forearms. And let's widen the knees a little bit. And then from here, let's go into a variation of cow. Press the chest down, point the tailbone up. So think about hollowing out the back now. And because your knees are a little wider, it'll give you a little room to kind of dip the belly in. It'll free up the pelvis. And then coming out of that, bringing the knees back in. Hands come back under the shoulders. And let's just push this blanket away. Coming back into down dog. Let's begin a nice journey from the back of the mat to the top of the mat, one step at a time. Each step allowing yourself to land, snuggle into the truth of that step. What it feels like. Any sensations that you can really discover. And then we'll meet in forward fold. And literally just hang here for a moment. If you need support, feel free to bring your hands on the earth or maybe your shins and just allow the head to kind of dangle. So you're taking that gaze between the legs, looking behind you. And then let's come up nice and slow, bone by bone, using your hands for support if you'd like. And let's inhale, sweep the arms up overhead. Big breath in, exhale, fall forward. Halfway lift with the inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold, hands come to the earth. Just step it back, hold plank for a moment here. And then bend the knees, and let's come all the way down to the earth. Sliding elbows underneath our shoulders, coming to a little back extension here. And notice that lower lumbar. Let's come all the way down. At a bend just to the left knee and bring the heel of that left foot towards the glute. And see if you can just kind of find your quad here. If it's really tight, you're like, oh, there it is. If you want a little more, you can reach your left arm back for it and then try to square the shoulders. And then you can really use your pelvis here to kind of move the length in that leg. So maybe you tuck the tailbone under just to get a little more in that quad. And thinking about relaxing into this stretch. Instead of thinking about, somebody making you do this stretch, right? It's a classic gym stretch. Think about what can you discover in this stretch. What's truthfully happening in the leg there, or even in your reach, even in your approach to this. Are you really pulling to try to bring that foot as close to your glutes as you can? Are you really striving just to reach the foot? And let's let go of that side. Bring it down to the earth. And before we just jump into the other side, just notice what one feels like versus the other. Let's dive into the other side. So first just add a bend to the right leg. And just kind of notice what that feels like. Just bending the leg. And I invite you to really steer all the focus just to the quad before we even reach back or do anything. Just the existence of this little bend in the knee and what it did. And then perhaps taking that right arm, reaching it back for the leg. And then just like we did on the other side, you always have that option of kind of tucking your tailbone under a little bit. And then let's release that all the way down. Bringing the hands underneath the shoulders. And let's first come up just to tabletop. Curl the toes, make our way to down dog. Arriving in that down dog once again. And then I invite you to explore with some movement. Seeking your own truth here. Maybe things feel different. Maybe they don't. Maybe they feel better. Maybe they feel worse. Let's walk the feet to the hands once again. Moving through just a few sun salutations here, Nama A. Pressing feet into the earth. Let's inhale, rise on up. Exhale, fall on down. Inhale, halfway lift. Whenever it happens, there's no rush. Exhale, folding, hands come to the earth, step it back. Knees up or knees down, totally up to you. And slowly lower down to the earth. Finding that back extension once again. And then moving into down dog. And we'll just do this a few more times. Hopping, stepping, walking to the top of the mat. Coming to that forward fold. Inhale, rise up, root to rise, reach it up, find length. Exhale, pull it all down, all the goodness of this moment. Halfway lift with that inhale. Exhale, folding, hands come to the earth, step it back. Lower on down, knees up, knees down. Coming back to down dog. And let's just do this a few more times here. I'm going to stop cueing. Feel free to go faster or slower. Feel free to follow me or not. And see if you can just notice everything and all things that are happening in the body as you flow through this little sequence. Sometimes it's hard to see the truth because we're so distracted. You know, life, it could be events or people, or even in this class, it could be just be me talking. So see if as we continuously move, I'm going to quiet myself and just allow yourself to notice. And let's do this 1 or 2 more times, and then we'll all meet in child's pose. What is a real yogi? When I ask my students in teacher trainings this question, here's what they say. A real yogi is serene, peaceful, compassionate, open, embracing, loving, patient, kind, vegetarian, fit, flexible, enlightened. A real yogi conceals their imperfections. They hide the fact that they're messy, that they lose their patience with their kids, or curse when they get stuck in traffic. That they eat pizza. A real yogi certainly never lets others see their flaws and says things like, I accept you, and only, of course, namaste. From here, let's inhale, rounding once again through cat, curling the toes, pressing the hips up and back to down dog. With the next inhale, your inhale, whenever that happens, inhale, right leg skyward. On the exhale, step the right leg to the top of the mat. Release the left knee down. You can get there any way you want. Help it along, scooch it there. So from here, squeeze the inner thighs and slowly come on up, sending the tailbone under. Bring the arms up, interlace the fingertips, press the arms up. With the exhale, bring the arms to the right. Inhale, coming back to center. Exhale, throw all this energy right down on the inside of that leg. And let's get cozy here. Coming forward a little, maybe pressing that right leg forward slightly, releasing that left hip down. And then coming out of this, walking the hands underneath a little. Let's take that right leg, just bring it back to the left. Curl the toes, press the hips up and back once again to down dog. This time, let's inhale, lift left leg skyward. Stepping the left leg to the top of the mat, release the right knee down. Squeezing the thighs and coming up however you want, right? So maybe we need that support today and it feels good. Maybe we want to be fancy. Inhale, bring the arms up, interlace the fingertips, press it up. And then on the exhale, let's take the arms over to the left, really rooting that right knee. Let's inhale, come to center. Exhale, throw all that down. And then slowly come out of this. Shift the weight from front to back. Just step that left leg back. Curl the toes. Press the hips up and back to down dog. And then from here, let's bend the knees. And let's just bring the bricks to the top of our mat. Do you want bricks? No? Okay. And we'll just put our hands on the bricks. And we'll go up to down dog again. Pressing the hips up and back. And maybe notice what it feels like now. Hands a little elevated. Maybe it's a little more freeing. Maybe it's just nice to have a soft brick under your hands. What a contradiction that is. And then let's walk the feet to the hands. Coming into forward folds. And then maybe we missed what happened on that journey. So let's walk the feet back a little bit. Let's walk the feet back up to forward folds. And let's just flip our bricks so they're a lot higher, as high as they can go. And then from here, let's take the left foot and just step it back, coming into pyramid pose. So think about toes, heels, knees forward. And where your leg needs to be is totally up to you. And then from here, here's where the magic happens. Draw that right hip crease back. And then notice if you're locking either of your knees out and see if you can add a subtle bend to them. And then when you add that subtle bend, what happens to the length in the leg or even into your mind? And then let's slowly switch from here, making sure there's a bend in the knees once again. Stepping left leg up to meet the right. And then we'll just send right leg back. Think about that same awareness as we just had, right? Oh, we're discovering pyramid pose. So let's discover it again, just on a different leg. Toes forward, knees. Then draw that left hip crease back and try to straighten the spine. So imagine almost leading with the heart center a little bit, sending the glutes behind you. And then shifting your weight, bringing the right foot up to meet the left. Exhale, forward fold for a moment. Just allow yourself to hang. Notice if there's a bend in the knees, and if it's locked out, add that bend. And then think about an energetic spiral from your glutes in between your legs. Pressing energy into the earth. And then let's come up with that strong structure, halfway lift, pressing into the bricks. And then from here, with this integrity in the legs, come up nice and slow. Inhale, let's bring the arms up too. Interlace the fingertips, press. Hands up. And then rooting that left leg, bring the arms to the right. So you might notice as you start to go to the right, your body wants to fold in. See if you can counter that just slightly by still drawing that left shoulder blade back. Sometimes I find it helpful if I just take my right hand around the wrist and pull instead of having both hands together. And then notice when we did that, what happened to that left leg. If it's unrooted, see if you can really press it in. Let's inhale, come back to center. Big breath. Exhale, take it to the left. Rooting this time that right foot down. And let's come back up through center. Exhale, bring the arms down. Let's actually interlace them behind us and press down. And then from here, let's spread the feet apart a little bit. So it's a little wider than hip width. And maybe even bring the heels in slightly. And then with the hands pressing down, begin to hinge at the waist. And we're going to need to probably bend the knees, and that's okay. And then as we bend down, lift the arms up. Hang in here for a moment. And just thinking about while you're here, being truthfully in your body, truthfully in your day, and what does that look like for you? There's these jobs and these roles we play that, sometimes we feel pressure to fit in or be something else, and let's just be who we are. And with the next exhale, release your hands, letting go of that veil, that mask. And so here are the bricks. They're right in front of us, there to support us. And from here, let's actually begin to bend the knees, and we're going to come into Malasana, but think about this as a give and take. There's no end to this posture. We're not in Malasana. Maybe your Malasana is here. You can use your arms to kind of support yourself here with the bricks, or notice the things that give and take as you come all the way down. And then eventually, if you don't need the bricks, feel free to get rid of them, or maybe just put them out in front of you. And while we're here in one of the most comfortable poses, notice what's happening in the glutes and the hamstrings and the back. And kind of notice any areas that might be pulling, and see if you can find a little more sweetness here. And then from here, let's come up once again, bringing the hips on up. Let's bring the toes in this time, coming back to that forward fold, which feels so delicious after Malasana. And move around here a little bit, maybe lifting a heel, bending a knee, maybe kind of swaying through your pelvis. And then from here, let's step left leg back, we're going to make our way in a pigeon any way we want. So, right leg's forward. If we want to, we can put the bricks right underneath us. You can begin to bring the hips down. You can use a blanket if you'd like. So think about in pigeon, trying to square the hips as much as possible. And so whenever that happens, wherever that happens for you, maybe that's an option. Maybe our knees are finicky, so we want to free them up today and sit in an S-sit instead, so our legs are more bent, and then we try to twist the torso. And then perhaps if you would like to, you can come down to the mat. You could also put a bolster in front of you, blankets. And then let's slowly come out of this. Bring the hands under the shoulders. Let's curl the left toes under and just lift the hips, and we'll just drag that right leg back and then press the hips up and back to down dog. And then from here, let's take the left leg, step it forward, and begin to go into pigeon on the left side. Just kind of notice what it feels like when you arrive. And then maybe falling forward into this, or maybe staying upright. Kind of finding what you need here. But to me, real yogis are not defined by these things. Sure, they may embody some of these qualities, but more often than not, one who is striving to be a real yogi is hiding behind that persona. The problem with the myth of the real yogi is that it ends up being a mask that keeps us separate from who we truly are, and very often that thing we want most in life. It leaves us with the sensation of being not quite comfortable in our own skin and robs us of authentic confidence and genuine heart-to-heart relationships. And then let's slowly come out of this, bringing once again our hands underneath our shoulders, this time plopping over to the left and just bringing that right leg forward. Let's come off the bricks if you're sitting on them. Let's just begin to lie back. Making your way down to the mat. Begin to root the feet, root the arms, and then we're going into bridge here, pressing the hips up towards the sky. And then as you press the hips up, thinking about pressing the knees over the toes, well, in that direction of the toes. And then on the exhale, bone by bone by bone, coming all the way back down. And then we'll do that again. And as you begin to lift, kind of notice the muscles that engage. Maybe notice what it feels like here. Pressing the hips up, energy flies into the mat through the feet. And then maybe we stay here, or maybe we bring a shoulder blade underneath, rolling one then the other, and then maybe interlacing the fingertips underneath you. It's probably underneath your glutes. And think about, with this engagement of pressing the arms into the earth and then into each other, you can lift the heart center a little bit. Stretching the entire front of that body. And then exhale, let it all go, coming back down to the earth. And then we'll do that one final time. All the same options apply. Pressing energy into the earth, lifting the hips. Perhaps bringing a shoulder blade under, then the other. Maybe interlacing the fingertips. Another option, if you'd like, is you can reach for the heels. But notice if this feels right or doesn't feel right. And then with the exhale, slowly letting it go, lowering down bone by bone by bone. And then perhaps shifting the hips to the right, releasing the knees to the left. Here's a few options for you too. You can take that left hand and bring it right on top of that right leg, and you can kind of press down and out slightly to give yourself a little bit of a self-assist, and then you can take the right arm and reach it out. And then coming out of this, one knee at a time, bring one knee back to center, then the other knee. And first, just straighten the spine and land. And then we'll twist towards the other side. Swing the hips to the left, release the knees to the right. And first, just land in the twist. And then if you want, once again, self-assist, you can take that right hand on top of that leg, press in, and then out towards the right a little bit. And then slowly coming out of this, one knee at a time, coming back to center. First, just allowing your back to lie flat, and then giving yourself any other posture, asana that you may need for today. Once you feel satisfied, we'll all meet in Shavasana, but there's no rush. Truthfully dive in, and maybe you are ready for Shavasana. Maybe that is what you need right now. There is no fulfillment in looking the part or talking the talk, in real life or in our practice. So forget about being a real yogi and just be the yogi you are. Be simple, open, and straightforward about what matters to you and what you are working on. The true rewards of yoga practice come when we are courageous enough to step out from behind the mask and expose our brilliantly flawed, utterly human selves. No covering up, no apologizing, just taking responsibility for it all. Let's begin our journeys back. Maybe adding energy and movement back in. Growing with the movements as you see fit. And then eventually coming on up to a seated posture. Maybe your eyes stay closed, perhaps they flutter open. Taking your hands to your heart center, the knees or the third eye. I'm going to say namaste, but feel free to say whatever you'd like. Thank you, amen, God bless, nothing at all. I leave you with a quote today from Joseph Campbell. The greatest privilege of a lifetime is simply being yourself. Today, tomorrow, and forever, namaste.